going to get something out of the game. And at this present moment, they've got a togetherness there, and they keep going right till the end.
Yes. You've seen a bit of Sunderland this season. Lee, you've been impressed, haven't you?
I've been very, very impressed, Simon. I watched that Arsenal game and I thought they were outstanding, as Benno said. Not just in how they played, but the togetherness. I mean, not many teams have, well, I don't think any have done that, Arsenal, what Sunderland done to them. And even going 2-1 behind has showed they've got the spirit to come back. Because that's a big factor now in football, how many teams can go behind and still come back, because Premier League games are usually done by the odd goal, and Sunderland just showed great spirit. I think I've watched them a couple of times, live games on TV, and been really impressed. And the thing for me from the start about it for Sunderland was the summer, what they've done in the summer, how they went about their business, and the money they spent, and to show everybody that they're going to give it a right good go about staying in, and then hopefully build a momentum year on year to attract the different type of players as the longer you stay in the Premier League. And they were outstanding. I think what they've done in the summer was to give the fans the belief, so the fans have backed them even more. And it's just been a great togetherness between the supporters and the players. They've obviously got a top head coach there as well, who knows the game. And I'm really impressed. I was just joking off air there before we came on the show with Benno, saying me and a few of my mates are a bit nervous for December the 14th. So it's going to be I love them. I love the fact that they're back. The derby matches, Newcastle, Sunderland, absolute brilliant. I want them back. I'm all for the North East clubs doing well, so I'm delighted they're back. But I think they're going to be a bit more tense and closer than probably people thought at the start of the season.
Yes, definitely. I mean, here we are, Benno, midway through November, and they're in 4th position. I mean, you have to kind of pinch yourself if you look at where they were just a couple of years ago.
Well, that's right. And, enjoying the ride, as you said, and, listening to the league there. You've got to remember the last time we met, Newcastle was in, obviously, the FA Cup.
Yeah.
And you've got to say...
There was no contest, was
there? Exactly. There's a huge gap. Huge gap. You could see the quality what Newcastle had and Sunderland. And you just look at Sunderland at the present moment and Newcastle, and you're thinking, wow, how far they've come. And that's credit to the football club. It's credit to, obviously, the coaching team, the recruitment team, but also for the players as well. You look at some of these players who've come to the football club from all over the world. And one thing which, you hear time and time again is that they cannot believe the support and obviously the fans.
And it's a real feel-good factor at the moment, isn't it, Benno? Not just on match days, not just in the games. Lots of different factors. The main one being how well the team's doing. But I guess the Kiel crossing opening on a match day, that's made a real difference, it feels like, as well. Things like that, just lifting people's spirits. And if you go into Sunderland City Centre any day of the week, or anywhere in Sunderland, you see loads more shirts now, even than ever before. And there's just a real kind of feeling of positivity now, which has been absent for obvious reasons for a long time.
Well, it's a good feel factor, for the city of Sunderland. You look over especially the last 12, 24 months, how far we've come, not just on the field, but off the field as well. And again, who would have said that Sunderland would have spent the amount of money which they spent in the summer? And you're thinking, wow, what's happening here? Yeah. Bringing in the players who we've brought in, usually people, when players are being mentioned that for Sunderland, so for instance, we talk about Xhaka and people saying, there's no way he's going to come here. To get him on board and then to get him to buy into what Sunderland's all about just goes to show you how far we've come.
Yes, and it means that if they do try and recruit in January, you would certainly think they would be an attractive prospect at the moment, wouldn't you?
Well, put it this way, Sunderland are on the map, the world map. Everybody's talking about Sunderland. And again, players now are thinking, wow, that would be a great club to go to.
Now, Dan Ballard and Trey Hume have both played a big part this season, of course. They're expected to start for Northern Ireland tonight in their World Cup qualifier in Slovakia. As ever, with all the international players from both of our clubs, everyone's just hoping that they don't get injured. They have played a big part this season. Dan Ballard in particular, Benno, I think he's caught the eye. We've been having the discussion this week as to whether, if he'd kind of decided that his allegiance was going to be with England, because he was born in England, whether he'd actually be knocking on the door of the England team now.
Look, for me, every team needs a Dan Ballard. And what I mean by that is somebody, what you're going to get out game after game. You know, he's somebody who'll go and head the ball. He'll put his body on the line, and you need that. You need that in your team.
He seems to really enjoy that as well.
Oh, yeah. Listen, that's what you're looking at. You know, you talk about good defenders, and again, good defenders are the ones who enjoy defending, putting the body on the line, getting tackles in, letting them know that they're in the game, driving your team on.
But he can also be a menace in the opposition's box, as we've seen, not just with his head.
Well, I just wanted to say before Benno goes on to that block he done at the end.
Amazing, wasn't it?
That's like a 25-yard thunderbolt going into the top corner.
Because he had to cover some ground to get there.
Yeah, and put his body on the line, and especially going at it like that in today's game, it's quite easy to mistime it, give a penalty away or whatever. His timing was spot on, his courage was brilliant, and like you were going to touch on there, his goal and that, but his performance was brilliant.
And again, you know, it seems as though, you know, we're recycling football again. And what I mean by that is that you talk about long throws now. You're talking about, you know, getting the ball forward as quickly as possible. You're talking about having an out-and-out striker. You know, you don't usually use that, especially in the Premier League. It's usually being tippy-tappy football. Now we're talking about getting the ball in the box, and you're getting people who's attacking the ball. Old-fashioned centre-half coming up for set pieces. Now we're thinking he's going to get us, causing problems.
You would have enjoyed long throws in your day. It didn't happen that much. It happened a bit, but you could have done with some of those deliveries coming in for you when you used to go up for set pieces.
But it's great. You know, we talk about Arsenal, how solid Arsenal are. But one thing is top of their list is set pieces.
Yeah, that's very true.
Nobody would have related that with Arsenal. No. People would have said, Arsenal, good footballing team. But I tell you what, one thing which they work on is set pieces.
Some more Sunderland players on international duty as well. Usherel Truda and Robin Roofs will be hoping to be involved for the Netherlands in Poland this evening. Shamsdeen Talbi, he is in the Morocco squad, and they play Mozambique, for whom Reinildo plays. So that's a 7 o'clock kick-up. We'll keep an eye on that one. What are you laughing at?
I'm laughing at, you know, you just mentioned 3 names there.
Yeah.
Nobody have heard of him at the start of the season.
They had, no, of course.
Nobody have heard of him at the start of the season.
Yeah,
I tell you what, now a lot of people know about him.
That's where you've got to give credit to the recruitment team at Sunderland, because Benno's spot on there. Majority of the signings, I think, even though the club was in total splashing the cash, they probably hadn't heard of the players. There weren't the crazy mega fees that a lot of Premier League clubs are paying for Premier League signings now, but they've proved themselves. They've been absolutely sensational, and Ben was absolutely spot on. No one before the start of the season had probably heard of them, and they've been brilliant. So you've got to say behind the scenes, the recruitment team that's been put in place there has to be applauded.
Because you would normally say, wouldn't you, maybe when you're bringing in that many players, if you get a 50% hit rate of them being decent, you've probably done quite well. But with Sunderland, it seems to be, well, if not 100%, quite close to it.
When I've watched them, I've never seen a bad performer in that team, I've got to say. When I've watched a couple of games for various different reasons, whether that's their fight and their spirit, and whether that's their technical ability, etc. They've got a lot of pace, a lot of power, a lot of energy, which the modern day game is about. And Benno's quite rightly said, it's gone full circle now. The old school type of stuff, set plays, long throws, second balls. You know, it's interesting. I watch some of the Premier League games now, and some of them just from kickoffs as well. The play in the corner so they can
like
squeeze their opponent. It is. It's the type of stuff when we were playing, when Benno was coming through, and I came through in the late 80s, early 90s. That was part of the game, and it's you know, we had that spell where, you know, Pep had his sensational Barca team and he brought it to City, but he's even finding a new way. You know, he's reinvented himself at City, so. I think it's catching on, and it's just this. But going back to the Sun and stuff, it's just got to be. They've got to be applauded, absolutely applauded by what they've done.
It's interesting, isn't it, when you're talking about football at the present moment. You know, as Lee just touched on there, in my day when you played teams like Cambridge or even a Wimbledon, one thing which we used to say, don't put the ball out for corners or throw-ins, because you know what was happening. Now it's happening again. Now, you know, for instance, this week there was the talk of the boards being where they moved. You know, we're trying to restrict people from taking long throws. You know, don't put the ball out for corners, because you know, for instance, if you're playing Arsenal, you're saying don't put it out for corners if you can. because you know what's going to come. Because again, the quality of ball, what's coming in from obviously the likes of Declan Rice.
Yeah, set pieces. It's,
it's huge.
It's a bigger part of the game than ever, isn't it? A couple of others on international duty. Bertrand Traore is with Burkina Faso. Simon Adingra with Ivory Coast, and Eliza Mienda is with Spain's under-21s, who have a home match against San Marino tonight. Let's talk a little bit about the women's derby on Sunday afternoon at St James's Park. We're going to talk more about it later, but let's just hear a bit from the Sunderland perspective. The Sunderland head coach Mel Ray is hoping that they've put last weekend's home defeat by Portsmouth behind them. But is a derby the best game to have after the defeats of the last couple of weeks?
I'm hoping it is. What a fixture to go and put it right.